Top 10 conflict-ridden zones of 2024. Number 1. The wider Middle East War. The conflict in the wider Middle East region involves various countries. Countries that have been directly involved include Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, Iran, Israel, and Palestine. Other countries, such as the United States, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, have been involved in the conflicts indirectly, either by providing military support to one side or by conducting airstrikes against the opposing forces. Though neither Iran, United States, and Israel want a direct confrontation, the Houthi forces based in Yemen, backed by Iran, have been attacking freighters in the Red Sea. The U.S. has offered protection to commercial shipping. On 31 December 2023, the U.S. naval forces killed all the crew members of 3 Iran-backed Houthi boats that had been attacking a container ship. In response, Iran sent its warship to the Red Sea. Meanwhile, the US, UK and its allies carried out attacks on several targets in Yemen, which the Houthis used to jeopardize freedom of navigation. The US and its allies have said that they have the right to respond if the threats continue. The safety of shipping in the Red Sea is important to the world economy, because it is an important trade route linking Asia to Europe and the US. Number 2. South China Sea. China lays claim to virtually all of the South China Sea, a vital shipping route that is rich in natural resources, despite a 2016 ruling by an international tribunal in The Hague that its claims have no legal basis. Philippines, Vietnam, Taiwan, Brunei and Malaysia also have various territorial claims in the region that have given rise to disputes with China and each other. Beijing and Manila have traded sharp accusations in recent months, including charges that China rammed a ship carrying armed forces and blasted water cannons at Philippine boats. A maritime exercise between Manila and Washington began on 3 January 2024 in the hotly contested waters, which is the second in less than 2 months. The very next day, China in response shot missiles from its fighter jets in the South China Sea, as it held rival military exercises with the United States. Beijing has warned Philippines that any miscalculation in their escalating dispute would bring a resolute response. Number 3. The Strait of Taiwan. The risk of war over Taiwan has grown in recent years. The U.S. has been supporting and conducting joint military drills with Taiwan. Tensions over Taiwan are rising, raising the prospect of a direct conflict between the U.S. and China that could bring with it global economic shocks and the potential nuclear escalation. Global supply chains and commercial shipping would be significantly disrupted. Taiwan is dominant in the semiconductor industry, producing 60% of global output. The risk of conflict is rising. Number 4. Gaza. The latest war was triggered by an unprecedented cross-border attack by Hamas terrorists on October 7, 2023, killing 1,200 people and taking hundreds of hostages, including elderly citizens, women, children, and toddlers. The Hamas terrorists are still holding more than 100 live hostages. The Israeli military responded with airstrikes on Gaza and launched a ground offensive. Israel says war in Gaza expected to continue throughout 2024. Number 5. Sudan. The war in Sudan erupted on April 15, 2023, as a result of power struggle between the generals that head the army and a paramilitary group following the ousting of longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir. Analysts have expressed fear that the real motive of General Daglo, heading paramilitary group, is to secure regional support and capture all of Sudan from the army. While fighting has been chiefly concentrated in the country's capital, Khartoum, it has since spread throughout the nation with allegations of widespread human rights abuses and war crimes. Number 6. Ukraine. Russia's invasion began on February 24, 2022, but was hit with very strong Ukrainian resistance almost everywhere, and faced serious logistical problems. Ukrainian forces were also quick to deploy Western-supplied arms, which proved highly effective against the Russian advance. Recently, delays in US and EU military aid to Ukraine have forced its troops to scale back some military operations, further lifting the mood in Moscow. Vladimir Putin warned that Russia would intensify its assault on Ukraine. Putin added that Moscow wanted to end the conflict as quickly as possible, but only on our terms. Number 7. Myanmar. A civil war is underway in Myanmar, due to nationwide public resistance to Army Chief Min Aung Hlaing's February 2021 coup, which sacked the democratically elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. Junta airstrikes and ground attacks have killed thousands of civilians to date, including children, and displaced about 2 million people. Those on the ground say they are ultimately fighting to get rid of the junta and establish a federal democracy in which all of Myanmar's people have full rights and representation. Number 8. Ethiopia. After a brutal war in Tigray ended in 2022, that left hundreds of thousands dead and battered the federal government's international standing, Ethiopia is sliding into another conflict, as many of Prime Minister Abiy's key wartime allies among the Amhara revolt against his rule. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed drew the bulk of his support from Amhara during his first years in office. A rebellion in the Amhara region risks plunging Ethiopia into wider conflict. Abiy, who is from the Oromia region, has faced uprisings in all three of Ethiopia's most powerful regions, Tigray, Oromia, and now Amhara. This tangle of crises is corroding interethnic relations and posing threats to the country's stability. The involvement of the Eritrean regime in the Amhara region conflict echoes wider regional tensions. Eritrea's Isaias Afwerki allegedly backs the Amhara with training in arms, according to internal military sources. Number 9. Sahel. Sahel is the world's most neglected and conflict-ridden region. The Central Sahel region, encompassing Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, is facing a severe humanitarian and safety crisis. The Central Sahel's conditions have given rise to 41 non-state armed groups in Mali alone. Some have ties to Al-Qaeda and compete with each other and the government to control populations, territories, and resources. The ever-expanding armed conflict and extreme poverty is expected to deteriorate further in 2024. Number 10. Haiti. Haiti has been without an elected leader since 2021, following the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. The past year in Haiti has been marked by massacres, urban warfare, kidnappings, armed assaults, robberies and gang rapes against civilians, with total indifference on the part of the authorities. Meanwhile, there are between 200 and 300 armed groups in the country, controlling 80% of the capital and strategic economic zones such as the main highways. The UN hopes the multinational force heading to Haiti will help tackle the absolute, brutal gang violence ravaging the country. Military conflicts interrupt supply chains and cause supply shortages, leading to price surges, which in turn trigger inflation. All these conflict hotspots have the potential to hurt the global economy and businesses across the world. Brace for impact.